I remember Avril's manager calling saying, Avril's been listening to the demo. She thinks it's way too pop, but she knows it's going to change her life. I've never had a song that I wrote that 3 weeks later was number one. And David Guetta wanted it. Lady Gaga wanted it. Akon wanted it. You. When I actually worked on that song, Blow Your Mind with Dua, she came up with a mwah. And I was like, damn, girl. God gave me this, woo, it's just me, myself, and I, solo right until I die.
Welcome to Songs You Know, and today I have Lauren Christy with me. I'm super excited.
Hey, thank you for having me, Toby.
It's a pleasure. And so you are known for the biggest hits of Avril Lavigne, Skater Boy. Complicated is one that is a song I wish I wrote. It's such a great song.
Thank you, Toby.
And you did Tonight Is It Loving You or?
Well, it's Loving You. That's what went out to radio, but
later you got to tell me the story of that Enrique song, how it was written. That was all over the radio for a year. And
yeah.
I heard rumors that it wasn't Tonight I'm Loving You.
No, it wasn't at first.
It wasn't?
It was definitely effing you.
What was it? Yeah. You can swear on this podcast.
Okay. You want to tell you the story of how that happened?
Let's go straight to that story.
It was like I was in this team called The Matrix for years, like 10 years. And one day my publisher called me and said, would you like to just try going as a writer to work with this guy called DJ Frankie? And I hadn't worked as a writer for years, if ever, just as a writer. So I was like, I'm just going to go for fun. Mm-hmm. So I showed up at his studio and there was another guy there called Jacob Luttrell, and they had this kind of cool beat going. And I had no idea, like kind of strangers to me. I was so used to working with my team. So I went outside and I said a little prayer because I'm Christian. And I said, God, so I don't embarrass myself, could you give me a little something, a little melody or something that would impress these dudes? I don't know why I was so nervous. And then this melody popped into my head. And so I went into the studio and I said, guys, I got this idea. And they all said, okay. And I was like, oh no, let's hope they like this. And I said, look, all you have to say is the word you. So you line up this melody I'm going to sing you with something like, I've never felt this way until I met. And then here's the melody. You.
That's quite a long melody. It's beautiful.
And it's not a melody I would write either.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, oh, thank you, God. And they went, that's great. Can you do that again? So I said, you. I did it again. Yeah. Then they said, can you go on the mic and do it? And I said, yeah. And I went in, did it on the mic. So I said, no. And they were like, this is fantastic. We've got to figure out what to say before. So Jacob Luttrell says, how about Tonight I'm Fucking You? And all the guys in the room went, yeah. And I was like, no, we can't do that. That's horrible. And they were like, yes, you can. This is going to be a big hit if we do this. Mm-hmm. And so I said, okay, okay, let's record it that way. And Tonight I'm Loving You, because it's never going to radio as Fucking You. Yeah. And I don't want it to go to radio because I have two little girls. And so anyway, we recorded it with the bad word. And the next thing I know is Lady Gaga wanted to do a duet with, it was David Guetta wanted it, Lady Gaga wanted it, and Akon wanted it.
Crazy.
And then Enrique wanted it. Mm-hmm. And there was like a little skerfuffle over everybody wanting it. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like a writer just watching this going, whatever. Anyway, I've never had a song that I wrote that 3 weeks later was number one.
Wow.
And that happened because Enrique just said, it's mine. And DJ Frankie, I'm sending a private jet to fly you to come see the Dolphins play in Miami.
Wow.
And that's how that happened. And it was it just blew up. And I think Enrique really nailed it. He really did.
And did you ever release the Fucking You version too?
That's the version that came out.
That's the version that came out?
Yeah.
Really?
But to radio, it came out as Loving You. Oh. And that was the number one hit all over the world, was Loving You, like I wanted.
Yeah.
But whenever he performs it, and most people know it as Effing You.
Wow.
Tonight I'm Effing You.
So since we're there with deconstructing songs, Complicated, I definitely want to hear that story.
That was just, our manager called us, and we as the Matrix been having quite a bit of success just doing B-sides for people like Ronan Keating and some really cool acts, but we hadn't had like a big moment yet. And my friend Charlie Midnight, he's my mentor, he said to me, Lauren, sooner or later, you have to have a big smash. Otherwise, it's just smoke and mirrors in this business. Yeah. So I was kind of, okay. And my manager calls and says that there's this little girl, she was signed at 14 by L.A. Reid to Arista, and she's now 16, and they can't quite find the direction. And so I said, great, does she write? Yes, she writes. She wants to write everything. So she comes over to our studio and she has all these toothbrushes melted together up her arms like bangles and little braids that she's done herself. Yeah. And we were like, and she looked like she was in a bad mood. And so I was like, hey, what's up? And tell me about yourself. And she said, okay, well, I have all this music, but I don't really like it. I don't really like anything I've got. And she played me some stuff and it was kind of, I would say kind of AC, adult contemporary. So I said, well, what do you want to do? And so she played me System of a Down. And I was like, hang on, like this beautiful, pixie princess looking girl, rock chick, which she was, combined, you can't do System of a Down. So at that point, we said, let's write tomorrow. And so Graham, Scott and I from The Matrix, we just basically started coming up with chords and strumming cool things. And she came back the next day and we played her a bunch of chord progressions on Complicated. And this is how we kind of think that the song could go. And she liked it. And then she said, well, what about like Complicated, Frustrated? I love these words. So I was like, okay, that's cool. And so we wrote all the melodies and then we had this like da-di-da-di-da-di-da, complicated, da-di-da-di-da, frustrated. And then Avril and I went out and we laid on a blanket. I have a beautiful picture of us lying on the blanket. I don't know how I was lying down because I was like 4 months pregnant. And we just like knocked out all these lyrics. And I do remember when we got to the B section of the chorus, it just, again, like God gives me things. And I heard this, life's like this. You fall and you crawl and you break and you take what you get and you turn it into honesty. Promise me I'm never going to find you fake it. And I just went, and Avril went, how'd you do that? And I said, I have no idea, but that's I think that's it. And
yeah, that was a genius bit in the song.
So that was given to me again. I can't really claim responsibility for some of the big hits I've had because literally
you received it and then
I received it. I know that every songwriter's feeling the same thing. You put your hand up into the clouds and you get something, So then at the end of the session, I spent some time saying, this verse isn't good enough. And so I sat down at the piano and I came up with that da 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 da
yeah.
da da da
so
da
sing
da
along,
da
yeah.
da. And I was like, that's got to have been done before. So I always have a few people that are my trusted confidants. I call my brother, Brandon Christy, and I said, Brand, what is this? Who is it?
Yeah.
Am I stealing this from someone? And he said, I don't think so.
Yeah.
So I called another 4 people, sung the melody,
yeah.
and then I was like, that's it. And then it came really easily like that. Chill out, what you yelling for? Lay back, it's all been done before.
I love that you have that line in there. It's all been done before because you thought it's been done before. That
melody. That's what helped us get there. And so that's really how that song came about. And then I remember Avril's manager calling me up and saying, Avril's been driving around listening to the demo because for a lot of times I'll sing a demo just because the song's written and the artist sometimes is just like they're exhausted with all the work they're doing and I'm like, shall I just throw a vocal on for you and you can take it home? And so she'd been driving around for 2 days with her manager listening and he said she thinks it's way too pop but she knows it's going to change her life.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so glad it happened for her, that she actually decided to do that. Because I've had a lot of artists, I'm sure you have, you write what you think is like a big smash with them.
Yeah, and they shoot it down and they say this is too cringe.
It's just too pop for them a lot of the time. They want to be very cool.
Yeah.
And I just, hats off to Avril. She just knew.
But it was cool. And also Skater Boy. I mean, these are cool songs, but very accessible to everybody. So
yeah, she loves Skater Boy, by the way.
Pop.
Yeah. And she loved Complicated too in the end. But it's just at first she was like, whoa, this direction is so different. And is it rock enough? Because as I said, she wanted to be System of a Down.
Yeah. And then I'm with you. that with the super high note in the end. That's also a great song. Love that.
Yeah, I love working with people who are like way better singers than me because I like to write melodies that I only dream of being able to sing in full voice.
So you started out as a singer, I just found out.
Yeah.
And you also got an award for, was it the AMA?
Yeah, I got nominated for Best New Artist at the
That's
AMAs.
incredible.
And then I got also a Golden Globe nomination for Best Song in a Movie Soundtrack with a song I did called The Color of Night. It's my biggest hit. I'm huge in Russia
must have been like
and Ukraine.
12 or 15 or what?
And no, I was like 25.
You were?
Yeah. Yeah, my first few years here.
We don't age as songwriters.
It wasn't until I was about 29 that I was like, oh, I'm going behind the scenes because I wanted to have kids, really desperately. That was my motivation in life, really, was I wanted to be a mom. And you have 2
gorgeous kids.
Yeah, I actually have 4 daughters between my husband and I. Yeah, we have a blended family. Yours. 2 biological and then, another 2.
And they're great talents themselves.
They are.
They're really great voices taking after you.
They love it. They just love writing songs and performing. They have a gene I don't have, which is no fear to get up on stage. I still have quite a lot of fear about performing. So, it's better for me to be behind the scenes.
Do they ask for mentorship?
For me?
Yeah.
All the time.
They do. Oh, that's sweet.
I mean, when we first started for them, I didn't even know that they ever wanted to be in the music business. And it was that lockdown in 2020.
Yeah.
And I suddenly could hear in Sophie's bedroom, just playing the guitar and the ukulele and then like singing these melodies. And I'm like, hang on a second. And then the next thing they were like, Mom, can you like help us with this? And so over the pandemic, we'd go in the garage, I have a studio in the garage too, as well as in the house. And we would like drink little shots of tequila, and I would just teach them all my tricks. Yeah. And we ended up writing a bunch of songs together, which ended up on their first EP. And they don't really need me, I'll be honest with you, because they're so into what they do, and I can pull things like you, Toby. I'm like, let's make it a hit. Let's make it a hit, and they're like, well, we want a hit, but we want it to be. There's a lot of artists we love, like Phoebe Bridgers, who you wouldn't necessarily say are. It's like smash, smashy. It's just very personal. And so their stuff is more intimate and personal. The stuff they really want to do. They love Bon Iver, or however you say that. Yeah.
I want to play a little thing with you. Guess that song.
Okay.
So I'm going to play a melody, and you'll have to guess it.
Oh my goodness. Can you give me a time signature? Don't say it's one of my songs because I would be really embarrassed.
Now you must know it.
I'm completely lost. What is it?
Billie Jean.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, I do another one. Okay. This one is easy. This one's really easy.
Somewhere.
There you go. 2 notes. That's incredible. 2 notes. That's very good.
That's easy. That's easy. That's complicated.
Okay.
Sure. Thank you, Toby, for throwing me a bone there.
All right. So this podcast is for anyone who wants to make music, anyone who wants to sing or play an instrument or write songs, be inspired. What's like the best advice you've been given and advice you could give to our listeners?
If you want to write songs and be heard as a songwriter.
Yeah.
Learn how to make short form content on social media.
But that's after the writing, right? At first you gotta write the song.
If you want to write the song, you're going to have to write 100 songs to get one good song to start with. And just look at like Ed Sheeran talking about that on YouTube. Just keep going. You have a story and it's time for you to tell it. And anyone who works at songwriting is going to get good at it eventually. That's what I really feel. I think there's a bit of a science to it. And the more you do it, we've talked about this. Yeah. The more you do it, the more it just gets easier and easier. So go for it. You don't have to be a great singer. You don't have to go to Juilliard or Berkeley. Anyone can do this. And please come to my masterclass so I can teach you in 1 hour how I do it.
Oh, where can we see your masterclass?
So I'd run my masterclasses twice a year, live on Zoom, and it's a group class.
Wow.
And I don't ask any questions. It's literally a lecture.
Okay.
And it's like a 1 hour crash course and then a half-hour industry crash course.
Nice.
And then I have like a guest for 15 minutes and then I do a question and answer.
I can be your guest next time.
Please, would you?
I'd love
yay!
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. It's actually my passion. My husband said to me, I'd pay money to hear how you write songs because you're not trained. You just learn how to do it yourself. And so I literally sat down and it took me about 3 months and I just kind of squeezed every drop of juice I had of how I do it. And I made it very easy to understand. And I'm kind of passionate about passing on the gift of songwriting and then teaching people that you better become a producer or the artist because you're going to have master ownership if you want to make any money in this business the way it is right now.
And producer, you are one of the 2 only female producers who got nominated for a Grammy for producing. Is that correct?
Yes, there's actually 7 women who've been nominated, but only 2 of us have been nominated for producing other people. I think Sheryl Crow was nominated for producing herself.
Yeah.
And Aretha Franklin for producing herself. So I'm really proud of that. It's me and Linda Perry.
Amazing.
It's amazing. And I want to see more female producers winning. We need someone to win it.
So what do you do before, let's say you have a very important session coming up with Dua Lipa or someone, and what do you do leading up to this session?
Well, I always have a list of titles and I always have maybe 3 little ideas up my sleeve for in an emergency. If the artist has nothing or if the producer has nothing. But more often than not, the artist knows what they want to do. And so I'm just going to be like water and just flow around and help them whatever way they need. But sometimes they're like, I got nothing. I'm exhausted. I just got off tour. So I'll sit down at the piano and say, how about this? And I sort of find myself less and less having to do that. It's more just like you're in the hot seat. You just got to go. But sometimes having a great title, I up your sleeve. And when I actually worked on that song, Blow Your Mind with Dua, that was a writing camp. I don't normally do writing camps. I don't think you do them either much, but I showed up and John Levine and I were put in the same room with Dua, and literally she was running between rooms and John just started playing like don't. And I just, again, I hear it in my head. If you don't like the way I talk, then why am I on your mind? We had that little section and then Dua came in and she loved the whole thing. And we were like, after this bit, it goes, we fight and we argue, you still love me blind. And she said, go back to that first line again and say, if we don't fuck this whole thing up, guaranteed I can blow your mind. And she came up with that. And she came up with a mwah. And then she just busted, and tonight I'm alive in $, guaranteed I can blow your mind. Mwah. And I was like, damn, girl, it's amazing. So it was this real combination of the stuff John and I had done before she walked in the room. And then, funnily enough, we all decided that the verses weren't good enough, and she's already flown back to England. But she was coming back a month later, so we wrote like 3 different verses. I sung them, sent them over to her. She liked one of them, flew over, and added that verse.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And
so songs sometimes take like 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, there's also a Bebe Rexha song that you wrote that is like, couldn't get out of my head anymore. It's so catchy. The Me, Myself, and I.
Oh, yeah. I love that song.
How did that come about?
That was Bebe and one of the guys in TMS and we just sat down at this beautiful house with a pool looking out over LA. And I remember TMS playing the nice chords on the piano, and we had this melody in the verse like da 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 da, which actually became the intro because G-Eazy ended up taking this song. And he just rapped over our melody. Da, 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 da. And then just again, God gave me this, woo, it's just me, myself, and I, solo right until I die. But the
whole thing came to you in one go.
All in one go. That's how it always works with me. Like the complicated line.
That's incredible.
And Bebe said, I love that. And then she's like, now we need another chorus after that chorus. And she popped the, I don't need anything to get me through the night. And
they work together, those two.
And I was
like the
so
B
which
section.
one's the chorus?
Oh, the first one.
And so you think the Me, Myself,
Yes.
and I see
Yeah.
it's actually the pre, but I just
Whatever
said,
you call
we're
it.
going to do 2 choruses back
Yeah.
to back. And she is a trumpet player, trained trumpet player. So I just love that a lot of her,
It's
doesn't
like a
it
trumpet
sound?
melody, yeah.
It's a trumpet melody. And when
That's
you listen
funny.
to like, hey mama, mama, hey mama, one of her songs that she wrote,
Yeah.
you can hear that she's a trumpet player. It's quite amazing.
I bought a trumpet a while ago. It's not there anymore, but I thought I could learn it if the trumpet's just here all the time, and I try to pick it up every now and then.
It's difficult,
I can't
right?
learn it. It's so difficult.
It's so difficult.
Yeah, you need some mouth
It's a
acrobatic
real
for it.
skill. Yeah. So yeah, I love that song. It's one of my favorites.
So any rituals just before the session or during the session? Do you do some unique things that others don't do? Or what inspires you? What gets you going praying?
I always pray. Yeah. Just let me be of service to people. Let me help. Let me be. I feel like songwriters are dream enablers because we can change people's lives. I know you've changed a few people's lives.
That's a nice word. Dream enabler. I like that.
Yeah. And so I always just pray, can I help this person find the key to the door of what they're doing? Sometimes they're coming back with a new record. Sometimes it's their first ever record. And I just want to help them, really.
And do you write a lot? Or how do you balance your life as a mother, your life as an adventurer, and as a person, as a human being? For me, that was difficult. And how much do you work? How much do you write?
It's pretty crazy. I had about 10 years ago, my husband said to me, you should slow down a bit because I was doing like 5 or 6 days a week. And so I purposely cut it down to 3 days a week because I wanted to pick my kids up from school.
And strictly, do you only do 3 days? And that's it?
That's what I've tried to do.
Even if Dua Lipa calls, we need to write another smash.
No, that's the problem. Is that suddenly someone will call and I'll end up working 10 days straight.
Yeah.
And so, but I tend to still try and stick to the 3 days a week, even though my daughters now have left home. But the point is that I wanted back then to go and pick them up from school.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be at home while they're doing their homework, at least a couple of days a week in the school week.
Yeah.
And it really worked out well. And now I've completely lost control and I'm booked now for the next 2 weeks, except for Sundays. And so I actually get a little antsy. I don't know if this happens to you when it's just relentless every single day coming up with music. And you said to me once, that it's kind of like this weird thing. The more you do, the easier it gets.
It's true. It's like a drug. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like a drug. And so I have to say, no, that's it. And so honestly, I'm looking at December, I have to put the brakes on because right through November, I'm booked.
So what do you do if you want to just not work? Do you read a book? Do you travel somewhere? What are your...
I'm not a big traveler. I have not got a huge ambitions to go to Singapore. It looks beautiful. And I did go when I was younger. But
the best airport in the world for sure.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah. I have a few things that I'm maybe I'll go back to Hawaii one day. I did my 2 English trips last year. I went twice to England and I hadn't been in 16 years.
Wow.
So what do I do if I really just want to be with my mom, who's 83, and my brother has a baby, my new niece. She's going to be 2 in January. So I spend a lot of time with family. We live in Studio City, and you know what it's like. There's great restaurants. So I hang out with my daughters.
Yeah.
We go shopping. I love to go to Huntington Gardens.
Me too.
Yeah,
We're
I
members
love it.
too. I love it. Yeah.
I love it. I love
The best.
to go to Balboa Park. I love to go to Malibu's and go to Joffrey's restaurant with my mum.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I'll do some cool trips. I'll go to Lake Arrowhead. I love that. I love going to Newport Beach, Balboa Island, see all the Christmas ships go by. I'll take little 2-day breaks, but after about 2 days somewhere, I start to get antsy to be home with my cats. And to me, a dream day is being at home, having my little pool heated to 90 degrees, blood temperature. And I love to smoke weed in my pool and just chill and talk to friends.
Is it a social experience for you if you smoke weed, or do you like to do it with friends or with your husband? Or
always. Sometimes it's a personal thing. I just like to spend time dreaming, and I come up with lovely ideas for songs, just floating in the pool. And sometimes it's put on a good movie and smoke a little bit. I'm not a huge smoker, but, it's really relaxing. I'm very ADHD. And my doctor actually said, I said to him, should I go on some Vyvanse or something for ADHD? And he's like, No, just smoke your weed. It helps you to like be in the room.
I'm so glad it's legal. It doesn't have to be this forbidden thing. That's why. Yeah.
Exactly. It's amazing.
I say a keyword and you tell me what comes to mind. Spirituality.
Jesus.
Okay. Authenticity.
All day, every day. One word answer.
No. You can answer as much as you want to. Fame.
I think that's a very tricky thing. I wanted to be famous very badly when I was younger. And then I realized what that entails is really tough. And I don't know if I was cut out for that.
Yeah.
And so I'm very concerned for my daughters that, be careful what you wish for, because, once you're famous, it doesn't stop. It kind of drags you along, and losing your anonymity, I think, could be just so scary. There was a point when I just went, I don't really want to go on TV and talk about songwriting or anything like that. I like being behind the scenes.
Yeah, and also what you're known for. Like Lindsay Lohan, for instance. I mean, sweet girl, but it's a curse for her, I think, sometimes, the fame.
It must be so tough.
Yeah.
Your whole life, to say, be like Heather Locklear. She's been famous her whole life. And there's a price for that. So I think just, don't chase fame. Just chase making great music.
Yeah.
And
what was one of the... Sorry?
Then put limits on it as you, become more successful.
What was one of the most shocking moments of your career?
I mean, I would say definitely being asked to go and try and work with the band Korn, because they were like a new metal band, and we were the production team that had done Avril. We did Shakira. We did all these female artists, Liz Phair, Hilary Duff. So we were kind of like pigeonholed. And then suddenly Korn asked us to go in the studio with them, and that was shocking. And we almost got thrown out of the studio. But what was surprising is that we ended up having their number 2 most successful song ever with this song Coming Undone.
Amazing.
Yeah, so that was a big shock to me.
Yeah. Your most empowering moment?
I mean, being nominated for Producer of the Year with The Matrix, and knowing that, at that point, I was the only female who'd been nominated for producing other people. So that was really empowering to me. I felt really good about that.
Your scariest moment?
I think the scariest moment was just, putting all my eggs in the basket to try and make it in music, and just saying, it's shit or bust. I have to make it. There wasn't really a backup plan for me. At one point, I had a record deal with Mercury Records. I made 2 albums, and then when I heard that my second album was over and the record label wasn't going to promote it anymore, that was a really, really bad moment. I cried. Oh, it was bad. Yeah. It was just like all my love had gone into this album called Breed, and it was literally called that because I wanted to have babies. And from that point on, it was like very scary. Like, what am I going to do?
I mean, that's funny.
How am I going to reinvent?
In a way, funny that you call your album Breed when you want to have babies, and yet it's the saddest moment probably of your career.
It was the end of that album, and it was like time to pivot and literally create a new world for myself. And fortunately, it all happened.
It's crazy how these ground zero moments usually are the beginning of something incredible that wouldn't have happened otherwise.
It's like the sunflower comes out of the dirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I'm going to do some very quick questions, this or that, and you just say this or that. So, mountains or oceans?
Oceans.
Hiking or biking?
Hiking.
Prince or Michael Jackson?
Oh, that's not right. It's a tie. It's an equal tie.
Yeah.
I love both of them.
Okay. London or LA?
LA.
LA, okay. Steak or salad?
Salad.
Okay. Like a adventurous trekking tent camp vacation or a cruise ship?
Neither. I hate cruises. I'm very seasick. And hiking, I mean, but like camping, not your girl.
Stoplights or roundabouts?
I love roundabouts.
Me too. I think we need more of them.
Yeah, there's a few here in LA.
Yeah.
I found one the other day.
I would get rid of half of all the stoplights in America and turn them all into roundabouts.
It's such a good idea.
Yeah, like the Brits have figured out.
Yeah.
Were you raised in England?
I was.
And when did you come to America?
I came to America when I was 23.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you have brothers and sisters?
Yeah. I have Stephen and Sharon, my brothers and sisters in London, and my brother Brandon, who moved out here about 2 years after me. And my mom and dad moved out here too, 16 years ago. But I was raised in London.
Where in London?
South London.
South London.
As I would say it took us about half an hour to drive up to London. We were in a place called Shirley, Croydon, Surrey.
Croydon rings a bell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love London.
It's Kate Moss comes from there.
Good.
And David
And
Bowie's
you?
like our neighbor in Beckenham. Yeah.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground. Thank you so much for being here. Is there anything you want to talk about still? Anything you want to promote? Anything you're doing?
Yeah. I mean, I would love to promote my masterclasses, which are, as I said, twice a year, but I'm also available one-on-one, and I do career consultations.
How do you do that?
Too.
Maybe explain a little how that works.
So basically, I mean, the same class that I'm teaching on Zoom, I can do one-on-one on Zoom, or people can come over to my house and I basically do the program.
That's amazing.
It's, a good hour and a half. And then I'll sit and listen to people's demos and give them ideas and help on what they're doing. And then a career consultation, I ask people to kind of give me a little paragraph of where they're at and what they've experienced in the music business. And it could be like they have done nothing. But I just want to know what they've done and where they would love to get to.
Yeah.
And then I'll meet with people for an hour and I just I listen to them more. And then at the end, I write them a prescription, like a doctor, of what I think they should do to take themselves to the next level. And I find them a roadmap to how they could have success.
That's great.
I love it. It's kind of a passion for me. So that's really important. You can catch me on TikTok or Instagram and send a email to me at lauren@laurenchrysty.com and I'll get back to you.
Yeah.
And then I also am promoting an album that I'm going to drop in probably April 2025. It's called Their Hits My Way. And it's myself singing every big hit I've ever had in a reimagined way. Yeah. I started in February. I released Skater Boy. And so far, I'm 6 in. Out this coming Friday, the 18th of October, I release Coming Undone, the Korn song. And it's been just so much fun. I made it with my very good friend, Ben Churd. He co-produced it with me. And it's like a labor of love. I figure you better do it now, you know.
Are you performing them too?
I sing everything. And it's all one-take vocals.
One-take vocals?
Yeah.
Whoa, that's a tall order.
Yeah, it's a tall order.
But then you practice a long time for it.
Yeah. I didn't want to take loads of time to do it. And so my daughters are singing all over it. And it's just beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, if you say one-take vocals, I have to say, when I worked with Donna Summer, she was a real one-take artist. She would
I love her.
Sing it once and it couldn't be any better.
What a talent.
Perfection, yeah.
That documentary about her. Ooh, amazing.
Yeah, I miss her.
Yeah, amazing.
We've, throughout our career, I mean, we have worked with a lot of the same artists. And
we have.
I think our careers kind of peaked around the same times as well. And we've been to all the same Clive Davis shows and Grammy shows and award shows.
I want to ask you, do you ever get tired of writing songs, Toby?
This year, I'm not writing songs. I'm focusing on my project, reimagining my songs.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're kind of living a parallel life.
It's funny, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the time to look back at the songs that moved people back then and now make them ours. And I'm having them sang by young talent, young new artists.
I love it.
And I reduced it to just piano and vocal and just get to the bones of the composition and what moved us in the first place when we wrote the song on just the piano and the vocal and try to convey that to an audience now.
Brilliant. Brilliant. It sounds beautiful.
Yeah, life is good. It's always good to reinvent yourself and find new adventures and do whatever excites you.
Are you working on a musical?
You know, during the pandemic, I worked on a musical and I showed it to a few people. I showed it to some incredible directors and screenwriters who've done movies I adore. And one of them just said, just scrap the whole
No, Toby.
I really
can't believe that.
It just wasn't. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't that great. Maybe I shouldn't have done everything myself. And that's a big lesson in life because, I mean, coming from Europe, I feel like I'm the one-man show. Just me and the artist, that's it. And rarely do group collaborations. And I think with the musical, I should have probably not done the screenplay myself, maybe focus on the music or other things. But I thought I'd do everything. And that's the first time I was trying to attempt screenwriting. And I think it's something that is bigger than,
it's tough,
like I couldn't just first time invent a story.
Yeah. I don't know how people write movies.
But we should do a musical at some time, some point. Or
we should.
Something.
And maybe you're going to smoke weed with me. You told me one day.
When I'm old, I will smoke weed. Maybe I'm old enough now.
Yeah. We will write an incredible musical together.
I'll smoke weed with you.
With some OG Kush.
Yes.
I look forward to that.
That's yet to come. We'll do it.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming to my podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Toby.
Yeah. If you like it, please subscribe, like, and there'll be more. Thank you so much.